Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Rajkumar's Learning App. Myself Subramanya. In this class, we shall have a discussion on topic deriving conclusion from the passage. Moving on to our introduction part. In this chapter, 3 or 4 statements or small paragraphs is followed by possible inferences. The candidate has to read the rules carefully and answer the inferences. The term inference is nothing but a data or related to some facts, figures and informations which is discussed in a passage, right? Let's check out the directions what needs to be followed for answering these sort of questions. The first direction is, if you think that the inference is definitely true. If you think the inference is probably true, 50% true and 50% false. In this case, you need to mark your answer as B. If the given data inadequate to judge the conclusion, then you need to follow the option C. Fourth one, if you think that the inference is probably false, though not definitely false, light of given fact. Probable false means 99% false and it may get right in a rare 1% cases. In these cases, you need to mark your option as option D. If the inference is definitely false, 100% false, in such kind of situation, you need to mark your answer as option E. These are the directions for marking your answers. Moving on to our first problem. Let's discuss the first statement. Primary education in Bihar is in a poor shape. Pupils in over 50% of the schools read in open throughout the year. Over 6 million children born to a lower income group parents remain unlettered. Unlettered means they are all illiterates. Not even 1% of 63,000 primary school have facilities of furniture, toilet, drinking water and games. 3,113 new teachers have been appointed in the current financial year, out of which 2,747 were women. Now, each of 13,270 primary schools have at least 2 teachers. First inference, classrooms of most of the primary schools in Bihar are inadequate. We need to choose the option as option B. Let's study the reason now. It is given in the passage that pupils in more than 50% of the school read in open. Passage they have given a word more, but in the conclusion they have used the word most. Perhaps this is because the classes provided in the maybe are inadequate. So the first conclusion drawn from the above inference is probable true. Moving on to our next inference. In Bihar, 50% of children are illiterate. It is nowhere mentioned that 50% of the children are illiterate in the Bihar state. Now in the inference they are telling exactly that 50% of the children are illiterate, which is insufficient data for us to conclude that 50% are illiterates in Bihar. Reason is the given fact is neither mentioned nor can be derived from the passage. So option we need to choose here is option C. Moving on to our next inference. In Bihar, 90% of the primary teachers are women. Again, it is a insufficient data because it is nowhere mentioned in the passage about 90% of primary teachers are women, 100% are women, 50% are women. It is nowhere mentioned in the passage, but in the inference they are exactly quoting that 90% of primary teachers are women. The conclusion drawn from the above inference is insufficient data. We can't say that 90% of primary teachers are women, right? To conclude the above statement, there is no sufficient data. So the option need to be chosen here is option C, insufficient data. Reason here is the given fact is neither mentioned or nor can be derived from the passage. Okay, right? Option followed here is C. Moving on to our next inference. There are 6 million parents belonging to lower income group in Bihar. It is definitely true because in the passage they have been clearly mentioned that 6 million children born to this kind of family, right? In the second line they have been quoted that 6 million children belong to this sort of family, we can derive from the conclusion that over 6 million children born to this kind of family, then we can say that 6 million parents belong to lower income group. Whatever the conclusion drawn from this inference is definitely true, because it is 100% stated in the passage. Okay, right? Reason, according to the passage, about 6 million children are born to lower income group parents. This clearly implies, from this we can clearly get the fact that over 6 million family are belongs to a lower income group. Okay, what we can choose the option is definitely true. Moving on to our next inference. A large number of primary schools in Bihar are one school teacher, which is absolutely false. Why? Because they have clearly stated in the passage that 13,270 primary school. We have the clear cut data that 13,270 primary schools have at least two teachers. A large number of schools have two teachers, but in inference they are telling that a large number of primary schools in Bihar have one school teacher, which is absolutely false. The inference or the conclusion drawn from the above inference is 100% false. So we have chosen the option that is definitely, the word definitely. So the option chosen here is option E, definitely false. Right. Second passage. Wind is an inexhaustible source of energy and aero generator can convert it into electricity. Though not much has so far been done in this field, the survey shows that there is vast potential for developing an alternative source. That the wind survey has 4 components: direction, duration, speed and distribution. On this basis, UP hill areas have been found an ideal place for setting up aero generators. In UP hills alone, as many as 58 sites have been identified. The first inference is only hilly areas of UP were surveyed for setting up an aero generator. Inference may be a probable false, because it is mentioned in the passage that wind survey shows that there is a vast potential for harnessing wind energy. To claiming the above statement, overall survey must have been done and not only on hilly areas of UP. But here in inference they are telling that only in hilly areas of UP were surveyed, which is probably a false statement. The option need to be chosen is probable false, option D. Moving on to our next inference. The survey was conducted under the government of UP. We can't say that only UP government solely have been conducted this survey. So the option need to be followed is probable true. It may be true that survey was conducted under the UP government as the hill areas of UP were also surveyed. Next inference. Wind as a source of energy can replace exhaustible sources of energy, which is absolutely true, right? Survey is also showcasing the above fact. Inference is relatable to a statement. So we can say that it is 100% true, right? We can mark the option as A. Reason here is, according to the passage, wind is an exhaustible source of energy and efforts are being made to develop wind as an alternative source of energy. It clearly implies that wind is also a source of energy in near future. Coming on to a next inference, energy by wind is comparatively a new emerging field. They are telling that though not much has been done in this field, the survey shows that there is a vast potential for a development. The inference what they have quoted here is relating to the passage. Clearly we can say that the given inference is definitely true. They have been only given that there is a vast potential, and inference they are telling that energy by wind can comparatively a new emerging field, that is 100% true. So the option need to be chosen here is option A. Coming on to a next inference. 58 sites identified in UP did not have electricity. Option here need to be chosen is inadequate data, right? Because there is nowhere mentioned that 58 sites identified in UP do not have electricity, right? In the passage, they have nowhere mentioned that 58 sites identified in UP do not have electricity. To support the above inference, we don't have any fact and figures. So the option need to be chosen here is inadequate data. Coming on to a statement number 3. Normal dealing with a bank involves a number of documents and other details. But that's not the case when you wish to shift from BPLR to the base rate system. Friends, BPLR means base prime lending rate. All the borrower has to do is approach the bank from which he has taken the loan and give a written application for the switch. Okay, for switching from BPLR to base rate system, there is no much procedures. All they need to do is they have to visit the bank from which they have taken the loan and to give the written application. The borrower should mention the details of existing loan therein. Borrower need to give the bank the information of the loan he is having currently. Okay, this is the matter subjected to bank operations. We have 5 inferences. All the borrowers are required to shift from BPLR to base rate system. The first inference is telling that all borrowers are required to shift from BPLR to base rate systems. It is nowhere mentioned in the statements that all borrowers need to shift from BPLR to base rate systems. It is not at all a mandatory case, but in inference they are telling all the borrowers need to shift, which is absolutely a false. So the option chosen to be here is option 5. Next, there may not a printed application for applying this switch. Printed application may not be available in 1% cases, but in 99% cases, this operation will go false. In real scenario, we can meet up with condition that there is a non-availability of printed application. In 1% we can meet with non-availability of printed application. It may be a probable false. The existing borrowers who wish to switch from BPLR to base rate system have been addressed, right? Yes, which is absolutely true, right? Because the facility have been made for these kind of people only and they are being addressed. Such cases we can clearly say that options goes with 100% true case. That is definitely true case. Car and home loan borrowers are being addressed. Yes, it is absolutely true, right? In the first line they have been given that normal dealings with the bank. We will come across car and home loans also. Passage is showcasing the same also. Existing customers of car and home loans is also being addressed, may be a probable true statements, right? The option need to be chosen here is option 2. Only the high value borrowers will mostly apply for this switch. In this passage, there is nowhere mentioned that only a high value borrowers will have to apply for this switch. There is nothing such like. So there is an insufficient data. We need to mark the option as option 3. This is the sequence followed in statement 3. Okay. This is all about deriving conclusion from the passage. Thank you.